Hello everyone and welcome to Battle of the Beasts All Generation episode number 50. Today I've got a very special battle for you as we're finally at battle number 50 and we're still in round 1. Yeah, this is how long the tournament is going to be, guys. So with this I've got two specials actually fighting today. Now unfortunately if I got to choose the matchups and if there were if there was a more interesting matchup for battle number 50 which involved two specials, then I would have had it here, but no, unfortunately I've got these two. One is one of my least favourite specials and the other is one which is just okay. So yeah, let's introduce them now. So up first we have special number 7, I believe it is, Ravira, ruler of the underworld, versus special number 11, I think, Viktor, the deadly archer. Now, both of these beasts are just okay, really. That one's better, in my opinion. I prefer that one more. This one is good story-wise, but not to Lucas. See, I get told by a lot of people that this one's a really good special, if anything better than its predecessor. Its predecessor was Mortax. Yeah, that answers that question. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of Ravira, and Viktor is just okay. But the battlefield here is going to be a simple rocky terrain arena. Ravira will have 10 Hounds of Avantia. Viktor is going to have a Sartor, and with that, let's get to the stats. Okay, and I've forgot to say that the battlefield is going to be at night as well, just to give Ravira that tiny little bit more of an advantage. But let's get to the weaknesses. We'll start with Ravira first. Loss of control. Ravira loses control over the Hounds of Avanti if the leashes impaled into her hands are chopped off. She's weak to lava. I don't think I need to go more into that one. And Hounds of Avantia reversion. When defeated, all the Hounds of Avantia are transformed back to normal. Going to Viktor now. Viktor's one and only weakness is that he's a poor swimmer. Yeah, that's it. So, with that, let's get into the fight. As both the beasts exit from their chamber doors, Ravira's Hounds of Avantia pulling at Ravira as Ravira makes her way out, just staring down to everyone, sticking her nose up, stiff upper lip, you know, that typical British stuff. Just waiting patiently for her enemy to appear, and then suddenly Viktor makes his way out, riding along a Sartor, his skeleton horse. And the Hounds of Avantia start growling at Viktor, as Viktor only merely just waves them off. Ravira comes closer, letting the Hounds get closer to going towards Sartor and Viktor. Viktor does nothing, only pulls down his bow from his back, takes out a quill, a soul-stealing arrow, let's say it is, because that's exactly what it is. Aims it towards Ravira. Ravira stares down at it. Viktor lets it go, and just as quickly as she could, because she has the strength of the Moonlight and the Hounds of Avantia, Ravira is able to dodge it completely, and just seem like it was going to be way off to begin with. Viktor tries again, in which Ravira does the same thing. And then Victor, out of genuine curiosity, pulls the arrow and aims it at one of the hounds. Ravira tries to move her hand to move the hound out of the way. However, it got shot in the arm, and the poor hound gave a yelp of pain and growls in anger, more aggression than there ever was before, in which Victor only laughs mockingly at this. Ravira, in a rage of anger, goes over to that hound's singular lead and slashes it off as the hound is let free and charges right towards Victor, in which Victor pulls out his sword and slashes that hound clean in two. He steps down from a Sartor, sends the Sartor off, and readying his sword and his bow. He sheaves his sword and readying his bow, he's ready to fight. Ravira charges up towards Victor with the Hounds of Avantia, and Victor shoots at a couple of the hounds with the soul-stealing arrows. Those hounds drop dead almost instantly, causing the souls to come up from the hounds and go towards Victor. And he claims those souls as his own. But before he can do it anymore, he realises he won't be able to ready another one in time before the hounds would get to him. So he chucks the bow aside, pulls out the sword, and slashes at the hounds as they are circling around him. Ravira is just sticking out her hands, just with the leads impaled on her hands, and just letting them circle him. Victor realises that there's 7 against 1. Not counting Ravira, of course. And Victor is just thinking, well, there's 4 attached to one lead, there's 3 attached to the other. I'll take my chances. He brings up his sword and slashes through a lead that was right next to Ravira's hand, which released 3 of the Hounds of Avantia, in which he twirls the sword and stabs one hound as another hound goes to bite at him, but bites into his arm, and that's on it, his arm gauntlet, his armor part. I don't know what that's called. And he only swings it aside and slams his arm directly on the floor, bringing his weight on top of that hound, and pulling out an arrow from his quiver. He stabs it directly in that hound's head, causing it to stop biting on him. And whilst he was doing that, he had another hound on top of him, in which he stands up and falls back down, causing the quiver on his back to impale that hound completely. And Ravira, realising what she has to do, she releases the other ones whilst Victor's dealing with them. And Osato came in just to help Victor and uses his hooves to buck one directly in the head, knocking him out and crushing him with his other hoof. Whilst Victor is taking on 2, whilst another one's going after Osato. Osato neighs in aggression, whilst the wolf only growls in anticipation. Ravira does not do anything, as she knows those hands are here to serve her and they would die for her. But she also knows that she's not that strong physically. As she has no control over the hound, she can't tell them what to do. She just needs to hope they know what they're doing. There's 3 hounds left versus Osato and Victor. Victor swishes his sword around to just back away the hounds, and the hounds decide they're going to go after Osato, in which all 3 of them are circling Osato. Osato seems kind of unnerved by this, as all 3 of them lunge towards Osato at the same time, but Osato just deforms himself into a pile of bones as they're just attacking what they thought was Osato, but really they're attacking themselves. When they realise that, they're greeted by Victor, who's just standing above them, looking down on them. Pardon me. Brings the sword and slashes off all 3 of their heads at once. Asator reassembles himself. Ravira stares in utter shock as both Viktor and Asator are making their way towards Ravira, circling her, like not letting Ravira really get away. And with Asator on one side and Viktor on the other and Ravira in the middle, Ravira gets ready to fight. But instead, Viktor puts down his sword and goes up to Ravira and say, "You're a clever beast, but you know you don't win this. Come here, come to me, and I will spare your life and you concede from this tournament." Ravira reaches out for Viktor's hand, but instead charges right up towards Viktor, tackling him to the ground. Viktor decides, right, it's your funeral, wraps his arms around Ravira and headbutts Ravira repeatedly with his helmet, just smashing an indent in Ravira's head over and over and over and over again. And when Ravira releases her grip off of Viktor, Viktor lifts up his sword, brings it down, and slices right through Ravira's neck, decapitating her completely. As Ravira is left with a face of pure shock and fear. Viktor saddles up on top of Asator and they make their way back to the chamber door, almost unarmed, if you will. So with that, Viktor has won, Ravira has lost. If you think Ravira should have won, please leave in the comments below why you think of that. However, my word is final and Viktor's making it through to the next round. Now, honestly, I saw no competition here. Ravira can do whatever she wants, but she knows, and everyone else does, when the hounds are dead, she's dead. And when she has the hounds no longer connected to her leads, then they can do whatever they want. And obviously they were going to attack Viktor and Asator anyway, but she can't tell them how many attacks how many. And even if they did, like if they had more strength in numbers, like if Ravira decided to release them all at once, almost immediately, then yeah, she could have won. But the thing is, she didn't, because she chose to have power over everything else. And that's what caused her to lose. So, yeah, with that, Viktor has won, Ravira's lost, and that is battle number 50. That's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press the notification bell down in the corner below. I'll see you next time.